following podcast contains spoilers and words like gee, whiz, and gosh damn it. We watch a thing. We watch a thing. Hello everybody and welcome back to We Watched a Thing. This week, I'm continuing my journey to get all of the hosts of movie reviews from 20Qs on here at some point. I've had Sam, I've had Stacey, and now, welcome to the show, Liz. How you doing, mate?
Yay, I'm very good. To steal a phrase from Stacey, I'm super happy to be here, like her catchphrase. I don't have a catchphrase. I need a catchphrase.
You need a catchphrase, definitely, for sure. I've tried to do catchphrases before. I tried to get Wimmy Wham Wham Wazzle happening for a while, but it didn't take off.
Didn't play?
No.
I think it's going to be something quite organic, and I just haven't been there. Unless it's like, dear God, Sam, or something like that, because I probably say that quite a lot.
You do say stuff like that a lot.
Yeah. He brings it on himself.
You and I have had the pleasure of talking movies before together, but not on this side of the world. Here we are on We Watched a Thing for the first time. How have you been?
I am good. I've had a nice quiet weekend away from the politics of Parliament, which are horrible, and I don't want to talk about very much, as I've already had a little rant to you. But it's great being able to get out and go to the movies and, have a bit of fun watching some crazy action shtick.
That's right. We've got a new release this week. Got to head to the movies, which is always fun and happens less and less these days, so I like when we get to do it.
Yeah.
And I am so curious to hear what you thought of this movie. So let's get into it then. Uncharted is a 2022 American action-adventure film directed by Ruben Fleischer from a screenplay by Rafe Lee Judkins, art Marcum and Matt Holloway. It's based on, of course, Naughty Dog's PlayStation video game series of the same name, and it stars Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, Victor Sullivan, Sophia Ali, Tati Gabrielle, and Antonio Banderas. And what is it about, Liz?
Well, it's fairly simplistic, and I'm going to try not to waffle too much. Nate Drake, played by Tom Holland, is a smooth-talking bartender who's fascinated with Ferdinand Magellan's The Legend of His Lost Treasure, and this guy played by Mark Wahlberg comes in and convinces him to go and try and find it with him.
That covers it. That totally does it.
Sort of, yeah. It's always really hard to come up with those plots off the top of your head. You're like, well, it started like this, and then this other thing happened, and then there was a bit of that. And did I mention this other guy?
Yeah.
You end up.
That's why my favorite thing on this show is that I never say the plot. I always just, so what's it about? Just make someone else do it.
Sam always makes me do it too and laughs at me. It's so cruel.
So I actually don't really know about you. Are you a gamer at all? Had you played the game? Did you know anything about this series?
I would not be what anyone would call a gamer. I occasionally get really stuck into a game, and usually though it's something a little bit weird and not typical gamer. So like I've been a big gamer of Kingdom of Loathing. I don't know if you've ever played that. I used to play that a lot.
Never heard of that.
Oh my God, you would love it. It's this ridiculous stick figure MMORPG type thing. Just literally an online text-based game. Yeah, it's loads of parodies of all sorts of other pop culture stuff. I don't know if it's still around. It probably is. I used to play Puzzle Pirates, another one that probably no one's heard of. Most recently, the most normal game I've played would be PUBG, and I was addicted to that for like 6 months, and I played that on my phone for like 6 months, like 6 hours a day, and then I just stopped and didn't pick up again. Yeah. So that's about it. Really not a gamer. I like the concept, but I've just never really got it, especially like I've never owned a PlayStation or anything.
Yeah, well, that's my thing too. So I used to play games a fair bit. Now that I've got kids and working full time, I play a lot less. But I only ever had Nintendos. So, I'm like Mario, Zelda, that kind of stuff through and through. So I never played Uncharted. Video game movies.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, video game movies have a pretty bad rap. But I have to say, I had quite a bit of fun with this. Like, this isn't going to set the world on fire or anything. But I'll tell you one thing, it made me think that the game at least would be pretty damn fun.
Yeah, I actually agree, which may seem surprising given, I don't know if anyone listening has heard my review of Mortal Kombat. Literally one of the worst movies I have ever seen. It was so bad, right? I was like, I can't believe Sam's making me watch this. I had to stop it twice in the middle and be like, okay, you get to take a break now, but then you have to come back and watch it for the rest of the podcast. Yeah. That wasn't the case with this movie at all. I actually really enjoyed Uncharted. Like, as you said, not going to set the world on fire. I went in with low expectations because I thought, well, it's a gay movie. It's probably going to be pretty crap. But I liked it. It was kind of just a fun kind of adventure movie. You got to see a bit of the world. You know, Tom Holland's a cutie. Like, there was good vibes, good characters. I don't know. It was just a good bit of laugh on a Saturday night, really. Yeah.
I agree. To me, this is certainly, if anything, I feel like this movie is just a couple of years too late. Like, I sat there thinking, wow, if this movie, I mean, I don't actually even know anything about the game franchise. I don't know when that started, but it was the kind of movie that I was like, I would have loved this back in the late 90s if me and my friends were like fans of this game. I actually think it's a pretty solid flick for sure.
I like that a couple of years to you is actually 2 decades, the late 90s. It's not a couple of years ago anymore, man. We've got to move on.
Do you ever do the same thing? Like, I always forget how old I am, and I'm like, no, there's no way that the 90s was 20 years ago. That's ridiculous.
Mate, couldn't agree more. Like, I read a tweet the other day that said, in 8 years, the 80s will be 50 years ago. And I was like, good one. And then I thought about it and I went, oh my God, that's true.
Wow.
What the fuck?
That can't be
So,
right.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that.
Wow.
And I think you're right. Like, I think this had a feel of, if not late 90s, maybe early 2000s. Like, that kind of feel. Absolutely. Yeah. Just sort of, low-key fun.
And I actually appreciate that. Like, one thing that I have felt about cinema lately is that, you know, and you see this in most superhero movies, the MCU have stuck mostly to being just kind of fun popcorn cinema. But like, you look at what the DCEU has been doing lately, and even the trailer for the new Batman, movies have lost a sense of fun, I think, for the most part. Everything feels like it wants to be gritty and dark, and I really appreciate that this movie didn't try for any of that. This is like, you know, it knows exactly what it is, this flick.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I've had a reason to watch a number of 90s sort of action films and stuff, 90s films in the last few weeks. And I was even thinking this about Independence Day, which I've just watched as well, as just the feeling of fun in it. And you just don't see that. You don't have those characters. You don't have that lightheartedness. And I think that's why I love 90s movies so much. It's just because of that sort of irreverence.
It's so true.
This movie definitely had that. Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert for another conversation you and I will have later, but on Independence Day, you know, a couple of weeks ago I saw Moonfall, which is Roland Emmerich's latest movie, and I think that's a perfect example of what we're talking about, where it's like, it's beat for beat very similar, and yet it has zero sense of fun to it. It just takes itself so seriously.
Well, you compare the Independence Day. Well, we're going to be talking about in the next podcast. But, like the sequel to Independence Day is the perfect example of that as well. I think. Yeah, like they're just light years apart. But this movie, I think it's clear that they were trying to have fun and not take anything too seriously in the dialogue. And obviously, they didn't take too much seriously about writing it because some of it is really terrible. But there are some good lines. You know, some of it you are like, no, friend. But then you're not going to this movie to see Oscar-winning dialogue, are you? So
exactly right.
I was kind of like, that was a pretty terrible line, but you know, I chuckled at a few.
I mean, let's start on the cast then. Are you a Holland fan? Are you a Wahlberg fan? Like, were you? I mean, it's an odd pairing to me. They're not two actors that I ever would have thought of putting together.
No, I'd agree with you. Wahlberg I've seen quite a bit on and off. I'm not really averse to him, but I'm also not like a huge Mark girl. I think I was born a couple years too late for that. Tom Holland, I've always thought he seemed like a cool dude, especially after I saw his cover of Rihanna's Umbrella.
What?
You know, his lip sync of that? Have you not seen that?
No.
It is one of the best things on the internet. It's amazing. He commits 100%. He's like fully lip syncing it. It must be for some sort of TV show or something.
Yeah, right.
He's fully lip syncing Umbrella, and he's out there doing the dancing and doing the like full hip movements, and he's dressed in like this full on like leather on. I don't know, but you have to go to YouTube and just watch it straight after this because it brings you much joy. He just seems like somebody who doesn't take himself too seriously.
He certainly seems like a cool dude, and I love his whole vibe. The way that he's always getting accused of leaking stuff from the MCU just because he's just a kid, basically. I
pretty much.
And I thought he had great charisma in this movie, actually. Like, he was enjoyable to watch. Even before he goes adventuring, I'd watch an hour of him just making drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only does he have great charisma, he's got great abs, man. His body was insane. And I was like, am I perving on Tom Holland? This doesn't seem right. Like, that kid's like 18 or whatever. And he's obviously older than that. But yeah, I wondered if he like wrote into his contract that they had to have so many shirtless scenes.
Yeah.
And scenes where he was, had the wet top and stuff. I was like, this is overly gratuitous, which I'm not complaining about. But whoa.
It was overly, especially at first. Like, I remember it once randomly cutting to him like doing pull-ups or press-ups or something shirtless, and it had nothing to do with anything else that was happening. And I was like, that's kind of an odd cut.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like they said, look, you're going to have to be ripped for this film. And he goes, bitch, if I have to be ripped for this film, then people are going to see it. They're going to know about how ripped I can get. And yeah, like there was another scene where they're in the hotel room towards the end and he's sitting on the couch with his shirt off. I was like, why? Yeah. Why don't you have a shirt on?
Yeah.
This is unnecessary. I'm not complaining again. Quite happy to see an impeccable male form. It just made me laugh because it seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tom Holland of all people.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you don't think of him as being...
No, well, I do now.
Well, now you think of him a lot, don't you, Liz?
Whew. Yeah, can't help myself.
Marky Mark is one as well that he has a pretty bad reputation, and with reason. And I don't think anything he's doing in this film is excellent. But again, I think he actually has a pretty decent level of charm. And I was very surprised by the chemistry that the two leads have in this film. It's something that I wasn't expecting, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think they work together really well. I found him less everything, really, than Tom Holland, I think. Like, he was really the sidekick. He wasn't, to me, like the same sort of draw card. But, I mean, he was perfectly fine. It's, I was going like, oh, yeah, Marky Mark, you did all right. Yeah.
You know who I thought was not fine, though? And maybe I'm bringing my own thing to this because I'm Australian.
Oh, I'm curious if it's what I'm thinking it is, and I think it is.
Well, Sophia Ali as Chloe Fraser, the other treasure hunter, was abysmal in this film. And I'm guessing the only thing I can think is that this must be a thing from the game. I could not see a reason for her to be doing that awful accent because it never comes up. They never mention she's Australian, but it's so bad.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. I wrote a note on it because I was like, is she meant to be Australian? Because I feel like half of her accent for this movie was passably Australian.
Yes.
And that I identified it was meant to be Australian. But that was only like half of what she was saying. And I only identified it towards the latter end of the film. And it was just really odd. And I looked it up and she is American. Because I actually looked it up because I thought, is she Australian and she's trying to be American and she's not doing a very good job? No, the other way around.
Same. I had to look it up because I had the exact same thing. And the only thing I can think is that character must be Australian in the game or something because it's not mentioned at all. And like you say, the worst thing about it is that it's passable enough that I knew what she was attempting. But like every third or fourth word was just like off.
Well, they're just random sentences. I was like, well, that just sounds American. And then the next sentence would be overly, like, ochre Australian.
Yeah.
And, yeah, look, I mean, I can relate, given that I don't think I've ever heard a reasonable New Zealand, facsimile of a New Zealand accent in a film. Like, no one can do a legitimate New Zealand accent.
Yeah.
But, like, Australian's not as hard to get, right? Come on, throw a few shrimps on the barbie, mate. Fish and chips.
Yeah, we are easy. You basically just do a Boston accent and then make it worse.
Oh, nice. See, I'm with Kiwi accents. Just take all the vowels out.
Yeah.
Like, just don't say any vowels. If you want to say like fish and chips, that's how I say it. There's no vowels in that. Problem solved. Easy.
That's right. I felt bad calling you Liz at the start because clearly your name is Luz.
Yeah. I've taught Australians that, and they've actually like messaged me and stuff and saved me in their phones as LUZ just to capture the sound.
Yeah.
But that's all right. I'm used to it, having lived in Australia for years. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I totally took a note of that, which is a shame because I actually like her. Like I could see that she could have been someone or a character that I liked, or I could see that the actress had a bit of charisma that I liked, but just didn't bring it home to me.
I know what you mean. I think part of the issue there was the writing, for me at least, because that character kind of eventuated to be really nothing. And there's a way to do the kind of three-pronged team, and I like the idea that, none of them trust each other and they're all, but she kind of just, it's almost like she's there just to be kind of a romantic foil for Tom Holland, but then that just kind of
without any romance.
Anyway. Exactly. There's more chemistry between Holland and Wahlberg, I think, than there is between Holland and her, and then it just kind of dies anyway. It's just an odd way to play it, I think.
I guess it's because they wanted to keep it a relatively kids movie, but I mean, I think it would have made more sense if after he, worked out the coordinates, he went and, got in bed and then they slept together and then she left him. Like, that would have been more meaningful, but of course they couldn't do that if you've got kids going to it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why they chose not to. It's funny you said that about the trust thing, because that actually got on my nerves after a while. I was like, I get it. You guys can't trust each other. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, can't you just work together, or I don't know. Just that bit actually grated on me after a while. I was kind of like, yeah, we've got it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, actually. And even, because then towards the end, him and Wahlberg do kind of buddy up, but you really do lack that motivation. It just kind of happens. It's like, okay, now they're best buds, but why?
Yeah.
Give me a slow
Whereas
build.
I could have seen it better in the other way around, because with Wahlberg, he left Tom Holland's brother behind, whereas with Chloe, they actually saved each other's lives, right? So you could see that at that point they might have said, oh look, maybe we can trust each other, we'll work together.
Yeah,
but that's not what happened.
Yeah.
So I guess there must be reasons for it game wise, but
yeah,
that rang a little hollow.
Yeah.
The other major female character in the film, or only female character in the film,
yes,
she was something else. She had the whole femme fatale thing going down really well.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you say about it being
Braddock, right?
Yeah, it's funny that you say about it being for kids, because I must say some of the violence actually took me off guard. Her with that little kind of curved knife, when she slits that guy's throat, I was I wasn't offended or anything, but I was kind of shocked. I just didn't expect it in this film.
That's true. Because if you were doing it for kids, keeping it relatively clean, you'd have her just hold the gun up and be like, "I'm sick of hearing you talk."
Yeah, that's true.
You could have kept it more low key, and her killing the guy and the father in the back of the car, that was very uncomfortable as well. Yeah, absolutely. This movie is what my mum would have made if she was making a kids film, because she never really minded us watching violent stuff. I'm pretty sure my brothers were trying to get me to watch Braveheart when I was about 8.
Yeah, I reckon I first saw Braveheart when I was 8.
But nothing. Oh, I didn't watch it. Would have given me nightmares. But nothing with sex. God no.
Yeah, right.
So maybe my mum was involved in the production.
See, my parents.
She's a busy lady.
My parents were really quite loosey goosey when I was growing up. We were pretty free range children as far as what we watched.
And look how damaged you are now.
I know. I'm broken.
So of some of the stories Sam, I can't remember what podcast episode it was, but on Movie Reviews and 20 Qs, we asked a question around what was the most traumatic, early movie experience you had, and some of the stuff people had seen it was just crazy.
Yeah, right. See, I don't think of any of it as traumatic, though. And I was very self-censoring. Every time we went to put on a movie, I was like, what's this rated? Like, are we sure about this? Are we sure? I was
cute.
that annoying kid, but
nice. Well, see, my nieces and nephews, I've taken them to films, and they can get scared by the most innocuous stuff. I took my nephew to Kung Fu Panda 3, and I had to take him out of the theater because he was upset because the big mean animated bull was stealing people's spirits. And I actually took him over to the counter and was like, excuse me, can you please tell my nephew that everybody comes back in the end and it's all going to be okay? Because he didn't believe me. Kids can be quite sensitive.
Yeah, I had the same thing with my daughter and Detective Pikachu, because she's a massive Pokemon fan, and she was so excited, and we had to leave halfway through because she found it so scary. I can't even remember what it was she found scary. She just did not like it at all.
Yeah, it's funny, but there you go. Yeah. But then, speaking of the violence of the film, though, I actually did quite like a lot of it the action scenes at least, because they really had that game feel, which I thought was really nice, and which meant that you sort of did suspend your belief. Admittedly, the whole bit where they're coming out of the plane and he's jumping up the different things, yes, it's a bit ridiculous, but actually you're just kind of reminded that this is based on a game. So you're like, cool, this is fine. And it looks really cool.
I agree. I thought the look of the film overall was actually really cool. I thought the editing was well paced. The action scenes were well choreographed and plotted. And I agree. I think they had that game feel to it. Like, one thing I love when game adaptations do it right is when you can feel the game mechanics. Like, there's one scene, there are scenes in the film that really feel like a stealth mission in a game, you know, like where they're hiding from the guards and ducking and weaving, and it's obviously a film that you're watching, but you get that same sense you do when you're playing a game that it's you, and it gives you a lot of extra tension, I think. I actually cared more about the characters in this film than you would think, given it's not very well written. I think purely because you can see yourself in that, almost like you're holding a controller.
And it's exactly what they should be aiming for with a gaming film. Like, is getting your buy-in into that game world. I think also another thing that sort of supported that was Tom Holland again. The smoothness of his moves, like his parkour and his stunts and things. Like, there's a real smoothness and slickness to them, and it really, again, had that game feel, and I really liked that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching him moving around and doing these little leaps and jumps and flips and whatever.
Definitely. And as far as the story goes, I'm a sucker for an adventure. Like, I love adventure films. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an explorer until I turned about 12 and found out that there was nothing left to explore. It's all been found, and I got really sad. But so I had plenty of fun with this film, honestly. Like, yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I get that. I'm a traveller by heart. I've been to 40 plus countries and always love going to see new places. So whenever things do this and have to go to different countries and search different little secret places and stuff, I always love that.
Yeah.
And they went to Barcelona, and it took me back to my trip to Barcelona, which was cool. And went to the Philippines. I thought, oh God, look at those beaches. I'd love to go there. So that's always a big selling point for me. Just seeing the world out there and them taking advantage of that and just showing us what all the great things we could go and see.
Yeah. I feel like we've been praising the film heaps, but I do think there's plenty of bad stuff. So I'm just going to kick it off. I hated the score for this film. It sounded like royalty-free music to me. It just had zero character, and it's a real shame to me because maybe it is the music from the game. I don't know. If it is, then that's a shame because I don't think it had a really nice feeling to it. But I just think that they could have done so much more with the score to make it feel more adventurous.
Fair. Like, when I'm thinking of it, I can't really think of the score even impacting me at all, apart from a couple of times where I think I was like, oh great, the cheesy, we've won the game, yay, look at us doing sneaky things or whatever. I think you could have done something really cool with maybe some more heavy metal or that kind of or hip hop or something. Definitely that could have been used to great effect, I think. Yeah, well, I mean, because
this film doesn't really have a soundtrack. Like, I can't think of any songs that are utilized in it. It's just score. It could have been cool to incorporate some actual songs in there.
Yeah, and I actually think they could have done that easily. Like, even in the scene where they're dancing, that's just soundless house music, rap kind of thing. Yeah. So I think that was a real missed opportunity. Yeah. One thing I found quite upsetting was the beautiful old ships being completely destroyed, sunk and destroyed and stuff. And it just made me, as usual, hate capitalism. This idea of, these beautiful treasures, and they're just it's all just this fight to the death of who gets the gold, and let's just ignore the fact. Yeah. And they actually even brought it up. She was like, these are so valuable. I know. Let's take care of them. Yeah. And then they're both destroyed. And that kind of made me think of all the things that get destroyed thanks to this kind of blind greed. Yep. So that was a bit of a sad.
I mean, are you familiar with the Bone Wars?
No.
Completely off topic here, right? But it's something like 50% or something like that of the fossils that have been found in the world, like dinosaur fossils, have been destroyed because of this war between these two paleontologists who were what? Yeah, no joke. You can look it up. I'm sure that it will have a Wikipedia page or something. If you just Google
that is terrible.
Bone Wars. Completely off track here. The Bone Wars, also known as the Great Dinosaur Rush, was a period of intense and ruthlessly competitive fossil hunting. And there were these two guys, I can't remember their names, but they battled to the point where they were destroying fossils purely so that the other person couldn't get them. And it's ridiculous and sad.
There should be a movie about that.
There should, right?
Yeah, but actually at the end, I found myself going, "Oh no, don't hurt the! Oh, you've damaged that! Oh, watch out for the island! It's gonna! Oh, that ship's really destroyed now." And I'm sure the people next to me were just going, "Oh my god, calm down! It's not real." But
yeah,
I just found it a little upsetting. Sorry.
It is always an interesting thing when you're expected to root for characters who do things that are really bad. And I don't know, I find that there are varying levels of the bad that you'll accept and root for in a character. And destroying priceless artifacts just for greed kind of doesn't do it for me.
No, I think that's really awful. Saying that, though, I did kind of like the idea of the high seas, high stakes battle in the air. Like, that was kind of funny and cool to see the ships flying in the air, but they're still doing what you might have done if they were actually on the sea. I thought that was kind of a cool idea, actually.
Yeah, that was a really cool concept. And going back to video games, again, I haven't played the Uncharted games, but it reminded me of Bowser's flying ship in Mario. He has a flying pirate ship, and it reminded me of that. And there's nothing cooler in an adventure movie than someone, swinging on a rope. And seeing him do that on the boat up in the air was pretty damn fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And the effects were great. Like, it looked cool when they did all of that.
Yeah, I agree. I was chatting to Sam and Topher about this movie the other day, and Topher was like, I cannot think of a movie I want to see less. He said the VFX in the trailer looked so bad. Now, I think everyone at this point knows that I don't watch trailers. I haven't watched trailers in about 7 years now, so I never saw a trailer for this film, but I was pleasantly surprised by the visual effects in this film. I thought that the CGI held up really pretty well, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought, it looked realistic, them flying around in the air with those ships, but I was quite happy with it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be, multi-billion-dollar type amazing effects, but everything that I saw I was quite happy with. Like, that I bought all of that quite well.
Yeah. So, all in all, how are you scoring this film then, out of 10?
I was thinking about this, and I think I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, for what it was, with my expectations as they were going in, what I think it was trying to be, what it delivered, I think it's a solid 7 out of 10. You got a good movie that was a good Saturday night entertainment, came out smiling, had a good time. Was it the best movie I've ever seen? No. But it was perfectly fine, If I ended up watching it again, having to watch it again in a year or two, I'd probably do that. Like, I wouldn't be averse to it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't walk out wanting my money back. Like, that's for sure.
No.
Like, I had plenty of fun. I saw this in Dendy Cinemas in the Gold Class Premium Lounge there, so I got some food, I got some cocktails, and I had a great time.
Sweet.
So
my cinema's got us social distancing, and they've got little couches, so I just had my feet up on the couch, and it was great. Nice. Actually.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you felt pretty similar to the way I did then, because with a movie like this, there's going to be a lot of people who hate it, and
absolutely,
I'm not going to fight those people. If you don't like this movie, that's fair. Like, particularly, I guess, if you've played the game or something and had different expectations, I can see that. But yeah, I'm a 6. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I certainly think for me it now takes the title of best video game adaptation as far as my memory goes.
Well, it certainly beats Mortal Kombat. That's easy.
So. Fuck, I hated Mortal Kombat so much.
I hated that movie.
Topher has watched it by choice about 6 or 7 times since it came out. He fucking loved it.
Sam has too. I was just like, what are you talking about? One of my colleagues told me it's one of the best movies ever made, and he would fight to the death about that, and I was just like, you've lost so many respect points. But this movie, I'm like, not that I think this will be anybody's favourite movie.
No.
But look, do you know what? I will probably go and see the sequel that they set up.
Same. It's absolutely the same. Yep. I would be happy to see a sequel to this film. I don't think it's, like you say, it'll never be anybody's favourite film, and that's fine.
No.
It's not. I think most people will probably have forgotten it after they see it until a sequel comes out. And then I think they'll be happy to go see that as well. Yeah.
It's, and I think the filmmakers will be quite happy with that. I don't think they set out to make anybody's favourite film, but they made a rollicking good ride that people can go along with and have a bit of fun and enjoy, and then walk out feeling a bit more lighthearted.
Yeah. Well,
which frankly is something we need in this world of ours.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining me, Liz. Is there anything that you want to plug? You want to give Movie Reviews in 20 Qs a plug, or is there anything else you're doing at the moment?
No, movie reviews in 20 Qs is probably where I'll go. I have always thought I could do my own little projects, but life is too busy to do that. But hey, look, come check us out at Movie Reviews in 20 Qs. You do have to listen to Sam, unfortunately, as he is the main host of the podcast. But there are loads of other way cooler people like me. We've just done absolutely soul-destroying look at Armageddon, where we just ripped it to absolute shreds. And I have to say, those are my favourite episodes when we all hate the movie. So, I would definitely check that one out. That would probably be my little plug.
Nice. Well, speaking of Sam, he will be joining me next week. We're going to be doing a bonus episode on The Batman. So we're both seeing it opening night, which I think is next Wednesday, and then we'll be dropping an episode pretty quickly thereafter. And just before that, I'll be joined by DT from Space Castle talking about The Last Duel, which I'm really excited to see. It's meant to be, I don't know, it's meant to be really good, but it picked up a couple of Razzie Awards, so who knows what's going to happen there.
I'm not going to lie, I've not heard of that. So
Right.
I will go and Google it. Rather Sam than me on the Batman, that's not holding any appeal to me. Why are we supposed to be on the side of the, billionaire white pet dude? No thanks. I'll go along and support the Riddler.
Oh, yeah. Who I think is being played by Paul Dano, who I love Paul Dano. So,
Well, then it sounds like you'll enjoy it.
Hashtag Team Riddler.
Do it.
All right.
Go along, yell that in the movie too.
Well, thank you so much. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with me, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and I'll catch you next week.
Bye.